Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Legacy Builder series. I am your host, Ace Randall. For those of you all that are tuning in various parts of the world, I greet you for coming on to the show tonight. We are streaming on multiple different platforms. We're on 8 different platforms tonight. And so those that are watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, or anywhere else in the world, thank you for tuning in. We have a great show as always tonight. I have a phenomenal guest that's going to be on with us tonight. But before I introduce my guest, I want to give you another inspirational thought. And I know some of you all are saying, why do you waste your time giving people inspirational thoughts? Well, I really can't help it. When you are an encourager, and you want to push people into their future, into your destiny, it's just something that exudes out of your skin. And so some of you guys saw the last show with my previous guest on Monday, and it was just really interesting on how a lot of the things that he was saying is a lot of the things that I've shared many times of those that are trying to do things in the music industry or just do things in purpose in that regard. And so the thing that I want to pull out from that is I know a lot of the things that he said was very direct. It was very honest in that regard. And so, me and my guest, we actually talked for about 2 hours after the show. And what we were talking about was when people have been through a specific process in their life or have experienced some things and they have a wealth of wisdom to share with you, they are trying to literally preserve you from going through pitfalls and going through snares and traps and things that the industry or this world can set up for you. And so you don't want to, I know we want people to, always be on our side and agree with us and say what it is that, what we want, what they want you to say. But when they're honest and they're investing the energy to tell you the truth, to say, you might not want to go that way. I know you want to go that way, but that's not going to work. And I know you think that you're gifted and talented in this area, but you need to invest in your gift. Or you might need to connect to someone that's going to help you advance or what have you. Is because they are trying to literally to save you from going the long way around. When people have gone through things, matter of fact, when people are educators, let's give you that as an example. When they are college professors or elementary school teachers or people that teach in a particular field, that means that they have mastered a level to be put into position to teach. So that means that they've got an education, they've gotten degrees, they have proven themselves worthy, they have gone through tests, they've gone through interview processes to show that they are qualified to teach at that level. And so I don't know why it is in the Christian world or the church world that people that are teachers or people that are those that are further advanced are not as honored, and we want to just fly by the seat of our pants. And sometimes that's great and sometimes that's wonderful, but will take you the longer way in your journey. Sometimes you have to invest in a teacher. Sometimes you have to submit yourself to someone that is further advanced to you, because they're going to help you to get you to the place of destiny. They're going to help you. And, some people, they do this for a living, so they get paid for it. But some people do it because they're passionate about what they do. And then you have some people that give it to you freely. Don't take advantage and don't dishonor those that are educators and that are trying to help push you into destiny. With that being said, I have someone that's coming on tonight that is an educator. She is a teacher of many sorts, and she is going to, lack of a better word, help put the fire starter in you. So as we get ready to get started with our guests, let me go ahead and introduce our guest of the hour.
Legacy builder, Cicely Victoria, CEO of the Firestarter and Passion International, which consist of coaching, speaking, book clubs, training and development. Stay tuned as we experience the journey of how Cicely Victoria built her legacy.
Good evening, my friend. Thank you for coming on to the Legacy Builder series.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Ace. I like that intro. That's so cool.
Well, we got to treat our guests right here.
I love that. Very nice. Thank you so much. I was like,
no problem.
I want to know.
You want to know who that lady is?
Yes, I want to know. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that you came on. For some of you all don't know, just to kind of give you a little back history of how I met Cicely. We actually met originally, and I don't know if you remember this, through the citywide prayer gatherings that used to take place with Apostle Greg House and Apostle Gardner and Marcus Beaver and David Rogers and your apostle. Goodness, how did I just miss his name that quick?
Okay.
Right, I know he gonna kill me. Oh my God, Matthew Stevenson, the Honorable Matthew Stevenson. He would kill me if he knew that I just in that moment forgot his name. I'm so sorry.
The Lord is kind, as he would say. The Lord is kind.
Indeed. And so we met each other there because these churches were coming together to do the citywide prayer gathering. And then when I transitioned from my previous church home, I actually was a part of the church that she was a part of, which is under Apostle Stephen Gardner. And I was there for about 8 months. So what have you, getting some things, and we end up connecting more there, what have you. And so we kind of go a little bit back. We go a little bit back.
Where is that? Where does time go? There has to be at least 10 years, brother, close to it.
Indeed. I know, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Indeed. And so she has always been. Indeed, we're still here. And so, I've seen her, do some things in transition and some things in her life, even from afar. She used to be my terminology, a prophetic dancer, and, used to, usher in the presence of God through dance. And then she went from that to teaching and doing some other things and what have you. And so, just to see where she is now, God is doing some amazing things in her life. So I'm really proud of you and what you're doing in that regard. So, no problem. So with that being said, no problem. With that being said, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, a little bit of your upbringing, so that we can get a little feel of the Firestarter, if you will.
Sure. Well, what has become and who has become the Firestarter? I hail from Chicago. I am a Chi-town baby to my heart, born and bred. West Side, okay?
Me too, all day.
Listen, yes. So currently residing on the South Side, but once you're a West Sider, you're always a West Sider, okay? So you can take us out of the West Side, but the West Side never leaves us. Hello, you have to claim it. That's home.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Indeed.
So I've lived in like I said, majoritively Chicago. The only other time that I was not here was for grad school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I lived in Florida for a little while. But aside from that, Chicago is my home. I am self-proclaimed one of the coolest nerds you've ever met, meaning I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I love education. I'm very well decorated. Educationally wise, I have 3 degrees, 2
Wow.
masters and a bachelor's. And so I just love learning. I have gone to U of I, Champaign-Urbana for my undergraduate, or Roberts University for my double master's, and believing God for the doctorate that will be paid for in full as far as I'm concerned if I am to attain it. Hello.
Indeed.
So I don't mind doing that. I believe a doctor belongs in front of my name and behind
Absolutely.
with a PhD. And I believe God for that for the future, but it shall be paid for. Huh? Yeah, no
Indeed.
more loans. No more loans for me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'll take an honorary too if y'all giving those out. So we don't mind.
Absolutely.
That's to be a part of my legacy, huh? Come on.
Absolutely.
Honorary doctor. I
Absolutely.
don't mind it. I don't mind it. Yes. So that's just I mean a little bit about me. I've worked as a teacher for over 20 years. I'm telling my age a little bit. I know I look 27, but I'm not. And
Don't we though? Don't we though?
So I worked as an educator approximately 20 years or so, middle school, high school, specializing in language arts, English, literature. Worked in multiple schools within Chicago, and just a teacher to my heart through and through. Whatever it is that I'm doing, you will find me teaching. So even in the prophetic dance, I was a teacher. As a coach, I'm a teacher. As a teacher, I'm a teacher. As a counselor, I'm a teacher. As a trainer, I'm a teacher. So I love teaching. I love learning. I love just knowledge. I love wisdom, all of those things. So that is
Absolutely.
me in a nutshell, and why I host my own book club. And I love discipleship and just people building is what I am, really made up of. That's my heart through and through, to build others. I first worked on one of the hardest projects there was, and that was myself. And then by the grace of God, then I was graced to go out and impart and help to build others, because then I was qualified. Hello? And I heard what you were saying about, how we need some credibility. We shouldn't have
Yes.
the anointing and the oil of God and the calling, the adoption of God without giving him credibility to know that, his children are learned and studied and decorated and things of that nature. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Why houseway,
Indeed.
not the people of God, right? To represent him and to represent him righteously with letters behind our name, with certifications, with degrees, with effort, with intentionality, to say that, we care enough. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to practice on anyone that I have not gotten some skill and some acumen, in regard to my life and my experience, and just go ahead and try to see if it works on you. Like, souls matter way too much to me for that. Every soul, is just a story and precious. And souls matter very, very much to me. So I don't play games with that. I don't play games with God's people or the enemies. And all of them, all of them are important. And all of them ultimately belong to God. So it's important. It's important that, we do have credibility. We do have discipline. We do have a study, a studious journey about ourselves, and a study life, and that people can, witness the fruit on your tree. And so that's very, very important to me. So I wholeheartedly agree. Thank you for saying that. And we need to not let ourselves so easily off of the hook when we've we think I don't know, sometimes we think salvation is free, like everything else, automatically comes down to it.
Right.
And that's not the case. It's not the case.
This is true.
Yes. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So So and it was so funny. I hear the impartation of your apostle, Dr. Matthew Stevenson, but we're gonna put a pin in that. And we're gonna come back because I tell you that's him in a nutshell about education. But we're gonna come back to
Yeah.
that in just a moment. With that being said, I want to kind of go back over your history a little bit, growing up as a child and advancing to go into college. What was it that inspired you to be an educator, to be a teacher? I'm going to tell you the truth. I was not a fan of school, and then on top of that, now I'm going to teach it. No, but but there was something obviously about it that drew you in, that you have grown to a mastery level in that, meaning even in education and degree wise, and that you're going to master to a PhD or a doctorate degree.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
What exactly inspired you to go into the field of teaching?
You hit the nail on the head. I have such an interesting story as to how I became a teacher. It was never my intent. And growing up as a child, never, ever. Ace, I think this is the first time you probably have heard this, but I have never wanted to be anything in growing up as a child except for an actress. I've wanted to be an actress my whole life, and one to the extent of I didn't want to. I wasn't so much in love with film acting as I was with stage theater. So I am a stage theater actress current day. I am not professionally on a professional full-time circuit by any means, but certainly could be. But that was my only aspiration growing up. I thought of nothing else. I could not dream of anything else. And once God came into my life, it's so interesting how tables turned in a very interesting way. And long story short, basically the enemy had come to me. I remember when I was getting really, really serious about my relationship with God, I was about 16. And it was also nearing the end of my high school career and me making determinations of going on to college and such. But the enemy had convinced me in a sense, in a way, that I could not serve God and still be a Hollywood actress, or still be an actress, or go to New York or wherever I planned on going and being a full-time actress, right? Because he said, you wouldn't be able to do this successfully and still honor God in righteousness or in your living, because that industry really could care less about your morals or your values or your standards, right? And to an extent, that's very true. And so at that time, it was very convincing to a very naive 16-year-old who was very tender and elementary in the things of God. And all I knew is that at that time, I wanted to please God. I wanted to please God. I didn't want it to do anything to not please God or for him not to be pleased with me. So honestly, at that time, when it was time to graduate, I entered into college with every other year prior to that with only one focus and one aspiration. I entered into my freshman year with a total blank slate of, I have no idea what I'm about to do, because I was willing to risk my heart, my passion, my everything, which it was, in order to make sure that I could still serve God and please him. So I had already made a dedication to not go into major theater, which was my intent prior to that discussion that the enemy had with me. And so basically I went, right, and I still signed up and I still showed up on campus. But by the time, you're going to trip when I say this, it was time to declare a major. I went into my sophomore year, second semester, no major declared.
Wow.
They sent me a letter. They said, Miss Wilson, you have to declare a major or you have to go home.
Right, exactly.
In so many words, okay? It's like, because it was I was so paralyzed and I really didn't have, I was beginning to develop a relationship with my aunt, who became my spiritual mother. And she helped to really talk me off of a cliff. She really did. I praise God for her. She's passed on now. But in a sense, the closest thing that I could imagine what a nervous breakdown would feel like, I believe I suffered that internally.
Wow.
Because I was such an authentic person. I was such a true person. I was never going to do anything just because.
Right.
But I had no clue what else it is that I could do or wanted to do at that point. But I knew I didn't want to disobey God. That's all I knew. And I knew, and the enemy had already convinced me if I went into theater that I basically can kiss my relationship with God goodbye. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So on the luck of a draw, you're going to laugh. On the luck of a draw, I remember sitting down in my dorm room and I said, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? I promise you, this is my processing for how I declared my major. I said,
wow.
well, I like kids. Yeah, I like kids. And I liked my high school teacher, my high school English teacher to be specific. I said, okay, I like English. I like kids. Maybe I could be an English teacher.
Wow.
Miss you.
Wow.
Maybe I could be an English teacher. I said, yeah. I think I could do that.
I think I could do that.
I promise.
Wow.
I mean, no epiphany, no. Now, let me tell you though, that was different from the reason as to what cemented it for me in regard to my purpose. So that is literally, it was nothing deep about how I chose that major. And God set me free later by my spiritual mom, who's a prophet, who communicated to me that the enemy couldn't take anything away from me that he didn't give me. So she, convinced me that, God could allow me to use that gift for his glory because he gave it to me. And so praise God, I'm doing that today. And that's awesome, even if not in a full-time capacity, which is fine by me. So, but I have perspective. But what my heart was for in regard to education, what were the young people, the youth, specifically in urban Chicago. Like I said, I grew up on the West Side. I was not like, you hit the nail on the head in saying like, you didn't care for school, you don't like school. I loved school, Ace. I loved school. I was like the biggest nerd. Like I was like the geekiest type of kid, but still looking cool, right? But I took something away with that because I paid attention as I got older to many of the young people around me. When I say older, I was like a teenager, but I paid attention to the younger generations and they looked so dilapidated, and depressed when it came to school. Right?
Wow.
I was like, this should not be. This should not be. And that gripped my heart for our inner city youth. And I was like, I want to go into a classroom to instill passion for learning.
Right.
That's why I want to go into a classroom. I want to go into a classroom to instill passion for learning for these kids. Nice. Okay, specifically, because nobody's focusing on our babies. And Absolutely. They need to have a value system that they may not be getting at home. I praise God for my mother. She gave me the value of education and learning that I think that, matriculated into, it transferred into the classroom. I was always an honor roll student, also by mandate of my mother, but that's besides the point. But, but I love learning and I just crave knowledge and I wanted to impart that just as a seed, right, to my young babies, my Black and brown babies who just thought that there was no purpose for education in school, who, could care less. So that was my intent in going in the classroom. I never went into teaching to retire. Never. I always looked at it as an assignment from God. And I said, I'll know when it's time to transition. And until that time, I'll go and I'll plant seeds and I will nurture this garden. And that was the whole intent. That was the whole intent. I wanted to instill and impart a passion for learning that I wasn't seeing in many of our inner city schools. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And you know what's so funny about that? You thought that you was just like, well, I kind of like this. So I like that. Well, I can go into. but it was already designed.
It was
You know
already
who you,
done.
it was already designed. It's in your DNA, and you thought that you was just making a random decision
Right. So
that sets
random.
you up for the rest of your life. It's really
Imagine that. Like, wacko.
indeed,
Amazing. And I could not walk 5 steps, without thinking about a teachable moment. I mean, I
indeed,
eat, live, breathe, sleep teaching now. And I mean, it's something. I never,
indeed.
never in a million years wanted to do this.
Wow. Well, I tell you, but even in that moment, how I look at it from a purpose and a destiny standpoint, or what have you, I always say that who you are is ingrained in your DNA. You do it when you don't even realize that you're doing it. And
Yeah.
so you thought that your career, even though to a degree you still do it,
Yeah.
is acting, and that's what
Yeah.
you wanted to go into. But really, the heart and the soul of who you are and purpose is
Yeah.
really to be a teacher in that regard, and that's amazing how
Yeah.
God kind of lured you into when you thought you was making a regular decision. No, He already was setting it up for you.
Come
That's
on.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny. That is
And in addition
amazing.
to the teaching, I mean, that was like a vehicle I believe he used, but the really core of me, I've always from a child, and this is, pre like going into predetermining what I want to be when I grew up and all of that. But from the core of me as a child, I can always remember I just sincerely, and this kind of connects to the coaching, counseling, and all of that, and the development. I simply love people.
Yeah.
Okay. I simply love people, and not just loving people just as, just all naivete, but the fabric and the makeup and the design and the betterment of people. So I've
Yes.
always been intrigued and very interested in people being well. I guess
Yeah.
if I can say it like that, right? And
Indeed.
it caused me, even as a child, just so much sorrow to see people hurt.
Wow.
And in a very abnormal way. And I do believe children are very, very sensitized to this. But I do remember also as a child how I've always had this way with people of just feeling extremely comfortable around me.
Mm.
And I remember as a child, I kid you not, I had adults. I can remember being 10 years old, 12 years old, adults just being around me and just me not saying anything, just being with them. And then before you know it, they're spilling their guts.
Yes. Absolutely.
They're spilling their guts. I didn't
I
ask
can
them any
concur. I've been through it
questions.
too. Yes.
I didn't ask them any questions. I didn't like, and I'm like, but I'm listening. And that's another
Yeah.
thing. I've always been in love with listening. And I've always
Nice.
been passionate about listening to people's stories and the intricacies of those stories, and really the distinction of that person and that
Yeah.
story that went along with that person. I love that so much. And this would be happening. And I'm like, I felt so inadequate because after all, I'm a child. And I'm
Right.
like, they'd be spilling these like problems and secrets. And I'm like, I would just encourage them in the way I know how, or just give them a hug, or just put my hand on their back or whatever. And I'm like,
Indeed.
well, I don't know what to say to you, but thank you for sharing, So, yeah. So it was just a very uncanny thing, and just to see how that has traversed and what it is that I do today with
Right.
great passion. So that's always been in me. I just, people are very important to me. Just even if I don't know them, strangers. My mom told me when I was a baby, I would go up to anybody. I would let anybody hold me. I would just put my hands out. She was like, Cicely, you were just so open and free. That scared me.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was like, nobody was a stranger to you.
Wow.
And the same is true today. I have no strangers in my life. Everyone's my friend.
This is true. This is true.
Everyone's my friend. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, you guys, I'm telling you, if you just coming on, no worries. You can go back and watch the replay. We're going to take a pause and a break really quick and just let her take a little sip of water as well as pay the bills and do some little advertisement really quick.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back on to more of Cicely's story. I tell you, it's amazing. And I'm learning even more about her. And I've been knowing her a little time, but I'm learning a lot about her story even more. And I hope it's inspiring you. So stay tuned as we come back with more Legacy Builder talk with my friend Cicely Victoria. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Introducing Legacy Brand Consultants. Identifying the brand within. We offer vision planning assistance, strategies for increasing revenue, offer staff vision training, along with senior leader seminars. We conduct business development conferences, church expansion strategies, also business expansion strategies. We offer plans on increasing foot traffic with a rapid rate for success. Phase 1, vision creation. Phase 2, strategic outline. Phase 3, branding strategy. Phase 4, growth strategy. Phase 5, expansion planning. And Phase 6, the exit strategy. Schedule your consultation by calling 773-599-9388. Office hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let us help you identify the brand within.
Thank you guys for staying tuned to watch that quick announcement. While I am at announcement phase, I also want to inform you that Legacy Builder Series is getting ready to take its go to a whole nother level and a whole nother platform in that regard. And so I never asked this, and I did this towards the end of our season 1, but I've never put anything out about this. But I want you to partner with us. As you see on the screen, Legacy Builder Series is getting ready to go to a whole nother level. It's some things down the pipeline that I will be able to share with you soon about. But if you're interested in partnering with us and become a LBS partner with us, you can send your patronage to Cash App at $ Legacy Builder Series. We are on the verge of doing some amazing things, and some things are under negotiations. And so you can help us do what it is that we do best here with the Legacy Builder Series. I hope in any way that if it's inspired you, but we're getting ready to take this message global in that regard. And so I'm not going to tell you too much yet, but be on the lookout, because there's going to be some announcements, things coming up, especially going into our season 2. So be on the lookout. But if you're interested in being a partner with us, you can definitely see the information below, and you can be able to go ahead and partner with what it is that the Legacy Builder Series is doing. Thank you guys for staying tuned. If you missed the beginning half of the show, no worries. You can go back and watch the replays. You can watch it on all of the Facebook channels, on YouTube, and on Periscope replay. And so let's go ahead and bring back up my guest of the hour. She is telling us a lot of her amazing stories. She kind of gave us a little bit of our history of growing up as a child in education, and how she advanced, and how she just, so to speak, landed into the career of being a teacher. And it was really kind of ordained for it to be that in that regard. So she just really kind of shared a little bit of that story in that regard. And so let's kind of take us up to not long ago. You were an educator. You actually was teaching children, middle school and high school. How did that, especially in the inner city of Chicago, that is something even within itself, and some of you all are not aware, but that are not from Chicago, but a lot of Chicago public schools were being shut down, and a lot of teachers were losing their jobs and things of that sort. And with you being an educator in the city of Chicago, where there is a lot of crime, where there is a lot of, things going on with children, and, for one, what inspired you to do it in the inner city? And two, what kept you going, knowing what all the chaos that was going on in Chicago when it came down to education?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, I'm a product of the city. So, I have
Indeed.
a heart for the city. Like Chicago is my city, like through and through. Like you can't say nothing about Chicago. Like I'm coming for
This
your
is
head.
true.
Okay.
Indeed.
So
That's the
listen,
West Side in us.
I listen. I am a product of Chicago. I love my city. No matter how my city has suffered much, my city has been through much. My city also still has much to give, much to offer, much wealth
Indeed.
within it. So, so such is a life, right?
Indeed.
A life that, it's like consider a city, every city has its own heartbeat, has its own pulse. So, and when you're great, hello, which Chicago
Indeed.
is, you got to go through hardship to get the greatness out of you. Yeah, you got to
Yes.
go through hardship to get the growth to show people what you're really made of. So, with that, I wanted my young people to know in the city, from the heart, from the hood of Chicago, to know how education is relevant and
Indeed.
how it applies, right? So I'm glad I was probably good in English and now math. Not saying that math couldn't be taught relevantly. I know a lot of dope math teachers that do, but I felt like the respective like reading comprehension and literature and English and all of that was a great outlet for me to parallel it to real life and everyday life. So that's what I love to do in my classroom. Like I never was a strict like book teacher, if you will. Like I
Right.
honor the technicalities of it, but for me, it was more so how to bring what's technical to life so you can make application. I'm very much a pragmatic, application oriented type of educator and professional. I'm the one who teaches you how to, right?
Indeed.
So, as far as I'm concerned, if you have the what and don't have the how, you're at a standstill, right? So I
Indeed.
think that I've surmised, even in my journey through coaching and counseling, I've discovered, even with myself, it's not a lot of people, it's not that many people don't know the what. Many people know the
Right.
what they're lacking is the how. And I
Indeed.
could even attribute that to many parts of my story. So I always love to give that to people to help the light bulb come on, to like help you to pay attention, like help you to see like how this matters in your everyday life and where you could take this to. So I like real, like, cause when you from the hood, like you get more street smarts than anything.
Right.
So like, I wanted to bring street smarts to the classroom, right? So that's like how I did it. And that was like my whole journey, and how, baby, how I stayed there, and how when I thought I was gone for good, I just kept coming back. And I'm like, what is this pull that the education system and the classroom and the city of Chicago has on me? I just think that's why I say once a teacher, always a teacher. Like I thought I was gone, Ace. I'm like, I done got my degrees in counseling. I'm about to switch up on y'all. And it's a wrap, okay, for this classroom, because y'all just get on my nerves. But listen, I love my babies, but they grew a woman out of me, okay? You better best believe that. I said, these are kids.
Right.
And I promise you, I am sat behind my desk and tears streaming down my face because I said, this
Wow.
cannot be this hard. Because
Wow.
I remember my first year, I almost didn't make it, Ace. I almost didn't make it. Sixth and seventh graders almost knocked me out of the game. I promise you.
Wow.
I said, where did these devils come from? This is not right. They don't listen. They
They don't
argue. They
listen.
disrespectful. They don't like kindness. They only pay attention when I yell at them. And I
Right.
said, you know what? I just shut down. I will never forget that day. They were just all just wilding out, bouncing out the wall. I went to my desk. I sat down, and tears just started streaming down.
You
I said,
had a
I'm
Sister
just
Mary Clarence moment.
I'm back to those things.
You had a Sister Mary Clarence moment from
Listen,
Sister Act 2.
yes. So I understand when there are some teachers just so walk out of a building with no accountability. I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
And nobody knows where
indeed.
they went. Especially if you a sub, they don't pay you enough, baby. They can't pay you enough. Listen, so,
Indeed.
but you know what? The same things that caused me to can't stand them so much was the same things that caused me to fall in love with them even the more.
Wow.
Because I understood and I knew all that they're really looking for was love.
Indeed.
That's
Indeed.
all we're really looking for. Somebody to pay attention to me. And the only way that they knew it at that time was to express it negatively.
Wow.
So they had to be trained and they had to be taught as to how to be noticed, right? For good things, how to be noticed for positivity, how to be noticed for doing something well. So that's where Miss Wilson came in. And I set them straight, baby. By the end of the year, it was different. I promise you. It took me that whole year. By the end of the year, you was leaving better than you came, okay?
Indeed. Indeed. I tell you, that's the importance of being, a teacher in any capacity or a leader in any capacity. When they leave your presence or when they leave being connected to you, their lives should be changed for the better, and, that's interesting how, you looked at the negative and let that be the fuel thing to help them, because like you said, all they were crying out for help. I used to be one of them problem children too. I used to have a desk in the principal's office. I was that bad, and I think I was that bad. And my mother's watching, but I'm too old to get a whooping. But I think I had so much of an impression on them, even when I was bad, that they was too scared to tell my mother.
Like, look, we don't know what this kid is capable of.
Indeed. But you're right. A lot of the time it is for them to, it's an outlet they're showing out because, or either they want to be seen, even though they might be getting love at home. They just want the attention or what have you. And, and there's so many different ways that people lash out. And so that's amazing that you were able to take that and to fuel that into your passion to teach.
And it's because, and I still keep in contact with my babies today. When I was first a teacher, fresh out of college, like 21, 22, okay, 20 years later, they grown now, they in their careers, they married, they got their own kids, and I still keep in touch with them. And to see my babies today, and the ones that you would have counted out, come on. The ones I remember, one in particular, I hope he sees this. Okay. Twin, and I'm like, both of the twins was jacked. I'm like, how both of y'all gonna be jacked? One of y'all gotta be good, okay? I need at least one. But the one that was the most challenging, he's a pilot today.
Wow.
And I mean, of a national, level. And mind-boggling. So you just never look at you. You got your own platforms and you setting up other people's platforms. You never count somebody out.
Indeed.
Because you never know when the turnaround is going to come. So that's a big reason why, like I said, with the souls, like you have to see them in the future.
Right.
It's so very important. You can't get stuck on what you see right now. And that's been a big life lesson to me. I've taken it to every type of relationship. Wink, wink. That
indeed.
You gotta see them in the future, honey. I ain't always been this great. I used to be toe up from the floor up, okay? Maybe not in education, but in other ways, all right?
Right.
So listen, I know the potential. If you can get an intervention, if God gets a hold of you, it's a wrap.
Indeed.
And you let him do the work that he wants to do. It don't matter where you came from. It don't matter what you experienced before, because the future is going to be different.
Absolutely. Before I ask you my next question, I do want to kind of segue this into my listeners, just to take this note in. When you are about living purpose and destiny, and you're building and creating legacy, and I've said this many, many, many times, that it's your life is bigger than you. Your purpose is bigger than you. And look at the example of what Cicely just said, that she could have easily walked out and said, no, I'm done. I'm not taking this. But listen to the impact of children that she's imparted into 20 years ago. Still in communication today, their lives has changed because she decided not to throw in the towel and decide not to give up on other people's lives and make it a selfish thing and make it a personal thing, and that she used that as the ability to grow ahead. I applaud you in that regard. So
thank
my
you.
next,
I got a lot of parents out there need to be sending me thank you letters.
Indeed, because people don't realize
I know
the
for
work
your kids
involved. Indeed,
I was Mama Wilson to many kids. Trust me, them kids were walking around calling me Mama. I'm like, wait a minute now. Long as we understand, I ain't real Mama. Okay, you call me Mama Wilson all you want, but you don't know at the end of the day. Okay. But I love
absolutely
that. I love that because that you can't. That's priceless when you're growing up as a student and as a child. It really is. When I say that's priceless, safe places are priceless.
Indeed.
When you live in danger zones of the city of Chicago, to find an oasis and to find a safe place through a person or a space.
Indeed.
Nothing compares to that. So I praise God that He positioned me to be. My classroom was never empty. I could never get a break period by myself. I said, listen, this is my prep time. This is my time. I cannot get rest. Okay, my door was always open, and they just always wanted to be with me. And even when I wasn't teaching, and I can be nothing but grateful for that. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And I also want to shout out two of my teachers that it was just like you in that regard. Mrs. Claire and Mrs. Bentley. These are two, and one was a white lady, the other one was a black lady. And they were people that I always was in their room in that regard that kind of had that same impact in my life as well. So that's amazing. Now, I know that you have transitioned on from being a in-school educator to educating in other ways. So tell us a little bit about the Firestarter and the other entities that you actually have going on, that you have transitioned it from a traditional classroom to actually doing some other mentoring or other teachings.
Absolutely. So after I had my tenure in teaching, I would say approximately 10 years at the time, or 8 years to be exact, then I continued and went on to graduate school and studied counseling. Counseling was always on the horizon. It's very interesting because actually I would have done psychology if not education. But when I took a psychology course in college, I understood it was more about the science, of the mind and things of that nature, not so much the people orientation, as much as counseling is. And I knew, and then I came to know that counseling is touched upon in graduate school, not so much in undergrad. So that was like but it always was in my purview, right? I was like, I'm going to get back to it. I don't know when, but I always was going for it. Like I wanted to touch that in some capacity. And so when I was ready, 8 years after having been in the classroom at that time, went ahead and invested my 3 years, 2.5 years in getting my double master's, came back to Chicago, found myself back in the classroom for a couple of years. Like I said, it just wouldn't leave me alone. I'm like, this is not where it's supposed to go. But back there, but at the same time, I didn't only want counseling, I had been introduced to life coaching. And I was in love immediately. And I was like, what is this life coaching? Like, it was just when it was becoming on the horizon, it was just beginning to be a thing.
Right.
And I said, I got to find out about this. I'm like, that sounds like me. So I went and I learned about one life coaching school. I promise you, something about me, when I have my sights set on something and when I'm persuaded about something, I don't need to look at alternatives. Like, that's just something about me, okay? So I researched one life coaching school and I invested and signed up and applied for one life coaching school. And that is the one life coaching school that I graduated from. So it's like, and it was the one for me. You just know when it's for you, right?
Indeed.
Same thing happened with graduate school. When I hit ORU's campus, I said, oh, God lived here. I got to be here. I said, this is my school. I didn't research any other school. And so it was just like that. And so when I'm sold, I'm sold. And Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, otherwise known as IPEC, became my life coaching school. And then I graduated approximately a year and a half right later. And then pretty much the finality of my in-class tenure as a teacher was coming to a close. And that's when I began to matriculate to more therapeutic settings. And at the same time, I was still going to life coaching school. And then once that wrapped up in 2015 and I got certified, then the Lord began to build out for me the vision for Passion International. But prior to Passion International coming, approximately, I just learned because I just wrapped up an identity workshop. I had begun to do identity workshops way back in 2011. And as a matter of fact, in 5 short months from now will be my 10-year anniversary for conducting identity workshops. Yes. And because it was all about identity for me, right? And so that like really just at the core and my passion for identity and a fortified identity because of the transformative work that had happened within me, everything else was ruling around that. And so I had begun to conduct these workshops and now it's 10 years old. And I was like, whoa, I was looking back through my notes in preparation. I'm like, I conducted my first one in 2011.
Wow.
I'm like, it's been 10 years and a few months. I was like, I had a moment. And
Indeed.
so, because the identity workshops birthed my passion for becoming a life coach, birthed my business of Passion International. It was, so I was coaching in a sense and training and developing before I got, the certification. It was just, the cart before the horse type of thing. And people trusted me, they knew I was credible, right? I had degrees and they knew I was a great teacher. So they allowed me to, come before these audiences, and I did it throughout the Midwest in my Christian sorority. And so hit many of our chapters in that way, and did it in schools and did it in churches and did it in different organizations. And I just loved it so much. And I was like, oh, and then Passion International was born. And then the Firestarter came later. I actually started off as the Pathfinder. And so the Pathfinder was all about just, again, identifying yourself and like who you are, right? And then finding out, your journey and being set on that path, right? But then I went to a professional development conference, or I went to a coaching conference or something like that. And then there was an exercise that we were given. And I remember the speaker saying to us, our tagline or our brand, if you will, has to be something that communicates to others what you functionally do. Right? And so, like, when you hear the word doctor, you know what doctor encompasses. When you hear teacher, you know what teacher encompasses. You hear mother, what. So it's like when people hear your brand name, what are they going to think of? It's like, what do you do? And so that really made me like stop and pause. And I'm like, okay. And then I just thought about it, was like, maybe the Pathfinder isn't strong enough. Like maybe it's persuasive or convincing. I just don't think it's, confrontational enough.
Right.
And then it came to me. It's like, Cicely, what do you do? And I think through a myriad of exercises that we did, I discovered I set people's lives on fire for a living. I set people's lives on fire for a living. What do you do? Indeed. And so because that came through the journey of changing over my title from life coach to empowerment coach. And so, they taught us in coaching, like, you can't just, label yourself as a life coach. That's too broad. You have to specify what it is that your expertise is in. It was like, okay, I empower others, right? I ignite others. I instill into others the can-do mentality and spirit of what is for them to take control and take the reins of their life, right?
Right.
So I set people's lives on fire for a living. So that's how it became the Firestarter, man.
And look, and this is a little side joke here, but she's known for her. She got braids now, but she's usually known for her orangish red hair, which actually has a fire look. So it's appropriate. For her name.
I'll put on my red lipstick for y'all tonight. So I'm going to just like that.
But I tell you,
But
I used to watch her lives, being busy and things of that sort,
yes,
not being able to
you
keep
were
in
such a great
contact as much.
support. Oh, I never forget how
Indeed,
supportive you were. I thank you so much for that. That meant so
indeed.
much to me.
Absolutely, and but it's because you had stuff of relevance that
Thank
I was
you.
listening to. She would break down getting vision boards and all that, and she would have
Yeah.
hers on display. Oh, I remember, and
Thank you.
empower you, and so the reason why I can connect to her is
Yeah.
because we do some of the same things. Now
Yes, you
hers is
do.
more of in a broader teacher aspect and really kind of sitting down and giving you a lot of the tools and really not necessarily hand holding you, but walking you through that particular process.
Yes.
I'm doing somewhat of the same thing, but I'm more so, being more very direct and say, come on, let's go ahead and do this. I'm probably
Yes.
more so of a drill sergeant meets like how what do you call it? A workout, your personal
Um,
trainer is.
a trainer.
I'm going to be abrasive. I'm not going to play
Yes.
with you. We're going to
Yes.
get. Let's go. Let's go. Let's
You're
go.
a
Let's go.
bottom
Let's not
line
play
type of
with it.
person. Yes.
Indeed, because
Yes.
if I patty cake you, you're going to
Yes.
move slow. You're not going to
Yes.
get it done.
Absolutely.
And so
And
I
I'm
think
bottom line too, but then I kind of I coined, well, I'm sure it's out there, in many other forms already, but I like to reverse engineer people in regard
right,
to I bottom line it, right? And then I'm
right.
not gonna leave you. I'm like, okay, this is it. All right, go on about your business now. But I love walking alongside people because I'm passionate about discipleship, right? So I love
Indeed.
walking alongside people to help you through this process, through this journey, and coaching you and being a standby, if you will, along the way as you flex those muscles, right? And
Indeed.
so yeah, that is yeah, definitely. So we operate a lot in the same way in that regard.
Yeah, and this is why it's important to have all of it. You
Yeah,
have somebody that's going to really like. So you have people that's going to hold you, and then you're going to have some that is like no holds barred, like either you're going to get it or
right.
you're not. And
Yeah,
one thing I can say about personal trainers is they're not calling you every morning to make sure you wake up and
right.
get to the
It's
gym.
true.
They are not watching what you eat.
It's
If you
true.
don't get the results that you want, then that means that you didn't apply what was given to you, and so
Yeah,
you have to take responsibility for that. And
yeah,
so that's
absolutely. That's what
that's
a
why
coach
we
is for.
exactly. And
That's
so,
why every coach
that's
is
why
for
we have
different
all the
things. Yeah.
spectrums. Yes,
Bingo.
absolutely.
Bingo. Yeah,
Absolutely. So I
yeah.
know you got to get ready to get out of here in a few moments
No
because you have some other
worries.
things to tend to. But I want to
Yeah.
ask you two
If
final
you want
questions.
15 more minutes, we can have that.
Well, I do
What
want
are
to
you?
ask you. Okay. Well, what's on the horizon for you? What is some things that you're able to, share publicly at this moment that is on the horizon that we could be looking out for you? As you all see, I already have her links in her social medias scrolling on the screen as I do all my guests. So definitely follow her pages and blow up her pages in that regard. She has a wealth of knowledge and resource and
Yeah,
information that's really going to help light the fire in you. So
yeah.
let us know what's next on the horizon for you.
Definitely, you guys. So, you're definitely going to find a lot more of my material. I'm always very liberal with my content. I push out a lot on a consistent basis, and I keep that pretty very current on my Facebook page in particular for Passion International. So make sure that you go over there and like me, and you can see different videos. You can see my testimonials. You can see all of those things, and how to contact me if you too are in a season where you need a coach, right? You need empowerment. You need someone to walk alongside you in your journey. What it is specifically that I specialize in is helping, training, equipping people, building them up in the spaces of courage, confidence, and communication skills. Many of my clients are those who are challenged in the space of people pleasing and who don't have a fortified identity. I work with primarily, my niche group is teens and young adults, but I have clients of all ages.
Nice.
So don't think you're too young or too old to work with me. I work with all of them and in between. I love everyone, as I mentioned before, and everyone has an identity, right? That
Indeed.
typically is not as fortified as it needs to be. And
Indeed.
the issue with that is, and not having a fortified identity is that it is the foundation of everything. And it really does impact everything else in your life, from your relationships to your finances, to your professional life, to everything, to yourself and your relationship with yourself. So And it is something that is not taken as vitally in our society as it needs to be. And it's a very the absence of attention to it is a very slow killer in many people's lives. And this is why it's very, very much my heartbeat, because as I mentioned, I love people so much, and I know the missing link in many people's lives is that they don't know who they are.
Indeed.
And because they don't know who they are, they live vicariously through other people, and they live randomly and by happenstance. And that's a dangerous life to live.
Yes.
It's suicide as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
So it's not anything to play with, and I don't play with people's lives. And so, and I give 1,000%, as if, I'm not good at math, like I said, but as far as I'm concerned, you can give 1,000% to all of my clients. Do you see? So I give everything that I have. As I mentioned, like I come full throttle or I don't come at all. This is why I'm very certain about places where I find myself and where I do not. That is what identity affords you, because you're not supposed to be everywhere. You're supposed to be somewhere.
Yes.
Okay? And you should find yourself in that place when you're supposed to be there. So that's what I do as a coach. I have no clients that are disappointed. I mean, you can talk to them. I have no clients that are disappointed. Listen, I go over and above and beyond, as you should, at anything that you are purposed to do in life. Because, because that's just the only way to do it, as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to show up, then give it everything that you have. And so that's who I serve. That's who I am. You have the handles down there. I am the Firestarter. You wouldn't be able to find one of the better coaches, in Chicago. I work with people abroad. If you're out of state, that's no issue. If you're out of the country, no worries. That's not a problem. I love working with all people. So just know that you have access, right? You have availability. If you're ready, let me insert this caveat. I only work with ready people.
Indeed.
Okay? I only work with ready people. If you are ready, and ready looks, different in different ways. Ready is financially, of course, but ready is also committedly in a way to commitment to do the work. All right. Because a coach is no fairy. I have no magic dust. I tell my clients all the time, I have no magic wand, right? The truth of the matter is, I'm going to clue you in on the secret. Lean in, I'm going to tell you. All of your answers that you need are already inside you.
Come on.
It's already inside you. So many people don't know that they're there. And all I do is serve as a divine escort to help clear the clutter.
Yes.
I help clear the clutter. That's it. So you can see. You can see. So I'm your advocate. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I want you to see. I want you to win, man. I set people's lives on fire for a living. Started with myself, and I can do it for you too. So I just want you to know that, hey, you know how to reach me. So holla at your girl. If you know that's you, I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you. And Ace, I want to tell you, you are the fulfillment of a prophecy, my friend, because at the end of 2019 or at the beginning of 2020, it was prophesied to me that TV was in my future this year.
Wow.
And I had an opportunity. I was already planning earlier this year, and then COVID came, and I kind of shut that down. And I thought that was going to be the vehicle. And then you turn up telling me about the legacy builders. I said, look at God still doing it. We better do it. So this is an inspiration, my brother. I too plan on having my own talk show one day. So I thank you for inspiring me and allowing me to serve your public and your population. This is a great honor. I don't take it for granted. I'm humbled and I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. It's an honor having you on. To tell you your story is amazing. And I tell you, be on the lookout, because there's a part in the last thing that she said that I'm going to be making a clip of, and I'm going to put it on Instagram, because I tell you, when you don't know who you are and you're just driving by the seat of your pants, that is a setup for sabotage for your life, or suicide, and that is so vital. You got to know where you are. You got to know who you are. You got to know where you're going, and you have to be in the place where your destiny is, and not be all over the place and think that your purpose for everything. I love that. I love that. I love that. So I tell you, if you guys didn't miss it, if you didn't get it, go back and play that over and over and over again, and let that settle in your spirit. Yes, because yes, you're not purposed for everybody. You're not purposed to do everything, and you're not purposed to be under everybody, but you have to know where you're supposed to be. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Now, my last question before we get out of here. When it's your time to go, and it's time to take your eternal rest, what is it that you want to be remembered by? What is it, the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Absolutely. So, wow, that's a mouthful. Oh, but before I go into that, just to let you know, on the other side, I didn't answer completely as far as like public forums. You can also hire me out for like workshops, seminars, things of that nature, speaking. I do that. So if you want it on a public forum and not as an intimate one-on-one setting, we can set that up as well. Just wanted to let you know that. I love mass groups. Okay, they're my favorite, actually. My legacy that I want to leave is to have an army of people. First of all, the vision of Passion International is to have touched at least before I depart this earth, 10 million souls.
Wow.
Okay, in the message, the empowerment message of courage, confidence, communication, and identity, throughout multiple continents, primarily North America, we've already started in, South America, Europe, and Africa.
Nice.
Those are my primary four. If we get to other ones, that's great, because I'm going there, but I just don't know if it's in that capacity. But I'm going to touch all continents before I depart this earth.
Indeed.
Legacy, yeah, including Antarctica. My legacy is very important for people to have reclaimed, redeemed, and restored lost, stolen, or underdeveloped voices. That's the mission of Passion International. I reclaim, help redeem, and restore lost, stolen, or underdeveloped voices.
Indeed.
And once I can help, and a voice is connected to your identity. Once you're fortified in your identity, you'll find your voice. I know what it feels like to not have a voice, because I had no identity at one point in time. But once I began to understand who I was and who I was not, pay attention to that, then I began to restore my voice and find my purpose and everything else that came along with it. And with the right voice, you can accomplish just about anything. Yes. You need your voice. You need your own distinctive voice, not somebody else's voice for you. So, and you know, all that, although that may sound elementary to some, it's very much not. And there are many people who think they have their own voice and they don't.
Indeed.
Yes. So it's very important to me, legacy-wise, to help to train and equip people to live a life pragmatically on a daily basis, where they have ownership of their voice, of their core values, of their purpose, and they lived very intentionally and purposefully and consistently with them more and more day by day, until the time they check out, until they become a fortified city. The word says a fortified city is hard to tear down. A fortified city, you want to be a fortified city. You want to be strong, resilient, unstoppable, invincible.
Absolutely.
These are the type of people that I want to be touched by me. If that not didn't come that way, but after having been with me or walked with me at any point in time, they will say that that is my story today. And they will say that I've been transformed because I've come into contact with this woman. That's how I want that in people. It will be in books, multiple books. Y'all pray for me for my time now. Okay. But I will be a very accomplished author, and having multiple books that will be a great legacy of mine before I depart this earth. I know that. I know
Indeed.
that. And so it will be in the works so that people can continue to live off of it when I depart this earth. But that's what I want, because I know nothing matches outside of your relationship with God. And even that won't be right if your identity is jacked. Hear me clear.
Indeed.
It won't. So you need to have first things first. And so if I can have any part of that legacy wise, my job here on the earth has been done. And I've died empty and I've finished well. And with
Wow.
that, I'll be pleased.
Indeed. I love it. I love it. And I love to hear everybody's response to that question. And some of this, and interestingly enough, a lot of people have a lot of the similarities in some of the things that they're saying, but also at the same time, too, just to hear where people want to leave behind. It's amazing. And some people don't even really give it a thought. They don't really think, to that place of wondering, what is it I want to leave behind? What is it? And so, that's why God gave me this platform of Legacy Builder series to inspire people to do more. I think it's probably one of the selfish things in life to waste your life away when God has meant your life to be so much more than about you. And just to say that I'm not going to do, or I'm not going to be, or what have you, when he's already given you this from the foundations of the earth, you hold other people's lives and weighed in a balance because you're not in place, in position. And also, and I've been saying this repeatedly lately because it's a revelation that God gave me. If you don't rise up and take your rightful place, you will be replaced. You will be replaced. You are not. You will be replaced. You are not.
You're gonna lose it.
Indeed. And I don't know why people think that because God is merciful and so gracious in that regard that he has not birthed your replacement in the earth. There is at least 1 million people that can replace you, at least 1 million. And he has birthed billions in the entire globe. So you can't think that you are the only one that can do what it is that you do.
Merciful and gracious, but guess what? Also he's just.
Indeed.
And because he's just, right?
Indeed.
And he's not wasteful. Hello.
Yes.
Exactly. He's after one bottom line in the earth, and that's getting his purpose fulfilled, not yours.
Absolutely. So I hope you all that are listening, and I hope that you learn anything in its measurement in that regard. So thank you, my friend, for coming on the show tonight. Your story is
Can I come on again?
Of course. We're going to be ending season 1 at the end of September, but we're going to be coming back for season 2 in January. So be on the lookout. We're going to be bringing some people back, and then we're also going to have some great, amazing guests that's going to be on as well.
Wonderful. I'm so proud of you, my brother. I'm proud of you
as well.
What you're doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Indeed. And then once you're ready to get your show and stuff going, let's talk. So we can, so I can help you on some things to help you make that happen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to get out of here, you guys, again, I will also want to reiterate, if you are interested in partnering with the Legacy Builder series so that we can help take this message or this platform global in that aspect, please decide to partner with us in that regard. This is the first time that I'm actually putting anything out there, but some doors and some connections of things that I've not shared yet is getting ready to open up for the Legacy Builder series, and we would love for you to partner with us. Get on the ground running with us in that regard. You're going to be seeing some things that's going to be opened up to you as partners that will not be opened up to the general public. And so start on the ground in. This is a good platform to invest in and to sow into in that regard. This yes, there's ministry involved, but I'm not asking for you to tithe in your offering or anything like that. But we just want you to partner with us so that we can be able to take this legacy building thing to the next phase and just take it around the world. So again, the information is there on the bottom of the screen if you want to partner with us. If you want to do some things specifically in partnership with us, definitely inbox me, or at the end of the outro of the video, there is a email address. Go ahead and just email that email, and we will continue conversation from there. As always, my beautiful guests, thank you for being viewers of this show. We would not be what it is, and I would not continue to show if it wasn't for your viewership. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming on, and continue to always to build legacy. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
Thank you for viewing the Legacy Builders series. Tune in July through August, Mondays and/or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with special guest panelists to appear. Want to be a guest or a sponsor? Send your request via email to legacybuilderstv@gmail.com. Till next time, go forth and build legacy.